Hi, it's Mark, the Family Woodworker. Well, it's time to break away from some old video and woodshop ideas and revisit the lathe with a new decorative bowl design using some hardwood leftovers. I'm going to be attempting a couple of new design techniques too. I hope you stick around. I've been sitting on a couple individual pieces of leftover cherry without a project in mind. This one is about 2 inches thick, but not too wide. I also have this smaller but wider block, about 1.5 inches thick, but it has better color and an even grain to it. It's also got a pretentious little knot that could be filled in with colored epoxy too. It's been a while since I've done any lathe work, mostly because I had orders for some other furniture items these past few months. If you watch my channel, you know it's been all about desks and tables lately. But I wanted to try making a decorative wood bowl using this leftover cherry and maybe incorporate some other pieces of wood sitting around the shop. At this point, I thought I might make some sort of a geometric design on the inside of the bowl, possibly using some other scrap hardwood colors. I grabbed some red Padauk and started to cut a thin strip as an accent color. I also cut another thin strip of dark Wenge, which I thought would contrast really well against the cherry. Those two wood varieties look pretty great alongside some scrap satin wood that's got a yellow color to it, and that was left over from another project too. I've done some large segmented block glue-ups before. Check out my snare drum video. But this design would be different in that the cuts would not be symmetrical and that I wasn't really sure how the glue-up process would work. The initial cut on the cherry was made to introduce the thickest accent color with that satin wood. This would be the second of 5 total glue processes over the course of the next 2 days. It was at this point I started to run into some trouble. Cutting and inserting the 2 accent color woods was okay because I could still line up the edges of the colors in a straight line. With the third cut, one of the 3 accent woods would not be in alignment. My cut angles, the kerf cut from the saw blade, and extra dimension from the added wood kind of messed up the lines. This was a new process for me, and now since I had glued everything up, there was no time to noodle over how to fix everything. I chose to line up the red and black accents, and then the satin wood was only off by a little in one spot. If I didn't say anything, you may not have noticed at all, but in any case, it was time to just let the glue dry. Once the glue set up, I also added a little more bling to the inside of the bowl by filling my pretentious little knot with some blue tinted epoxy. Black would have probably been a more natural fill choice, but hey, I'm colorful. The next day I could trace out a circle form no bigger than 10 inches and get it cut down on the bandsaw. A 10-inch diameter is about as large as my hobby lathe can handle, which limits some of the projects I can turn. I also chose to epoxy a smaller block of cherry to the bottom center of the block to give me more of an elevated base to work with. I thought a small pedestal base with a gradual curve leading up to the shallow bowl might look cool and make it look a little bit more like a table centerpiece. When that epoxy had cured, I mounted a faceplate to the inside of the bowl, laid out some of the chisels I might use, and started the shaping. In the end, this little shallow centerpiece bowl came out pretty awesome. It is another piece being donated to the YWCA for an upcoming fundraiser, and I hope it raises lots of cabbage. As for the design, I dig it, and I think I'm going to do this again, maybe next time in walnut. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Please help our little channel grow by subscribing, giving us a thumbs up, and leaving us a comment too. All of our content is always free, and we really appreciate you stopping by.